Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Ram.
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama Hare.
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama Hare.
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Hare.
Ram,
Hare
Ram.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Hare.
Ram,
Hare
Ram.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Hare.
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare.
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama Hare.
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna Krishna,
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Hare
Nityananda
Ram,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Hari Gaurava Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Krishna
Rama Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Ram.
Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram.
Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Rama Hare.
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram.
Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Ram.
Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Hare.
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Rama Hare.
Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama Hare
Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare
Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama
Krishna
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare
Ram.
Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama
Krishna
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram.
Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Jai Shri
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Chaitanya
Hare
Prabhu
Krishna,
Nityananda Shri
Krishna
Advaita
Krishna,
Gadadhara Shri Sri Gauranga Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna,
Jai
Hare
Shri Krishna
Krishna,
Chaitanya
Krishna
Prabhu
Krishna,
Nityananda
Hare
Shri
Hare.
Advaita Gadadhara Shri
Hare
Sri
Ram, Hare
Gauranga
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare Krishna
Ram.
Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama Rama Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram.
Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Krishna,
Rama Rama
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama Rama
Ram
Hare
Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare
Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare
Hare
Rama Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram.
Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram.
Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama Hare
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram.
Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama Rama Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama Rama Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama Rama Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram.
Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama
Ram.
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama
Ram
Hare
Ram.
Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna
Rama Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Rama Hare
Ram
Rama
Ram.
Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Krishna,
Rama Rama
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama
Ram.
Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare
Krishna
Rama Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama
Ram
Hare Rama
Ram.
Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare Rama
Ram
Rama
Ram.
Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram.
Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare, Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
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 Hare,
Rama Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama Rama Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Krishna
Ram.
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare,
Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare
Ram.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama Rama Hare
Hare Ram Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama Hare Jai Shri
Krishna
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 Chaitanya
Hare
Prabhu
Hare.
Nityananda Shri Advaita
Hare
Gadadhara
Ram
Shri Sati
Ram
Gaur
Ram.
Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Krishna
Rama Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Ram.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Hare
Gadadhara
Krishna
Shri Sati
Krishna
Gaur Bhakta
Hare
Vrinda
Hare.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Rama
Ram.
Rama Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Rama
Hare.
Rama Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Hare Rama
Hare
Rama Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare Rama
Ram.
Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna
Rama Hare
Krishna Hare. Hare
Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Rama Rama Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna
Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram
Rama
Ram.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama
Ram.
Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
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 Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Rama Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Rama Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Ram
Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Rama Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama
Hare
Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama
Hare
Rama Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram
Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare
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 Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
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 Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Rama
Hare
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 Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Ram
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Krishna
Rama Hare
Krishna,
Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram.
Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna Krishna,
Rama Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram.
Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
जय श्री
Ram.
कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत
Hare
गदाधर
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
शिवसाति गौर
Krishna
भक्त वृंद
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
कृष्ण कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Ram,
हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Ram Ram.
राम हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
कृष्ण
Hare Krishna,
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण हरे
Krishna,
हरे हरे राम
Hare
राम
Ram,
हरे हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Ram
कृष्ण
Ram.
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare
राम
Krishna,
हरे हरे
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna,
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
राम
Ram.
हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna
राम
Krishna,
हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Ram,
हरे
Ram.
हरे राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण हरे हरे
Krishna, Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram, Ram.
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare
राम हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna,
कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
राम
Ram.
हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna
राम
Krishna,
हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare
हरे हरे
Ram, Ram
हरे
Ram.
राम हरे हरे हरे
Hare Krishna,
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna Krishna,
हरे राम
Hare
हरे
Ram,
हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Ram Ram.
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare
राम हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
कृष्ण
Krishna Krishna,
कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
राम हरे
Ram.
हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
राम
Krishna
हरे
Krishna, Hare
हरे
Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Ram Ram.
कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna, Krishna
कृष्ण कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे 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 राम
Hare Ram,
राम
Hare
हरे हरे
Ram,
हरे
Ram
कृष्ण
Ram.
कृष्ण हरे 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 राम
Hare
राम
Krishna,
हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे हरे हरे
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
राम हरे हरे
Ram Ram.
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
राम
Krishna
हरे हरे
Krishna,
हरे कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Ram,
हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Ram.
राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna Krishna,
राम हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare Ram, Ram
कृष्ण
Ram.
हरे 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 राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे हरे हरे
Hare Ram, Hare
हरे
Ram,
हरे
Ram Ram.
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
हरे हरे
Krishna Krishna,
हरे कृष्ण
Hare
हरे हरे
Ram, Hare Ram,
हरे
Ram Ram.
राम हरे हरे हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram,
हरे
Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare
राम हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
हरे हरे
Ram Ram.
हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
हरे हरे
Krishna,
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram, Ram
हरे
Ram.
राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram, Hare
हरे
Ram, Ram
कृष्ण
Ram.
कृष्ण हरे 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 राम
Hare
राम
Krishna,
हरे हरे
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna,
कृष्ण हरे हरे
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Krishna
राम
Krishna,
हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare
हरे
Ram,
हरे
Ram Ram.
राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे हरे
Krishna, Hare
हरे
Krishna, Krishna
राम
Krishna,
हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare
हरे हरे
Ram,
हरे
Ram Ram.
राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Krishna
राम हरे हरे
Krishna,
हरे कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram,
हरे हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Ram Ram.
राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
कृष्ण हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna Krishna,
राम हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram,
हरे हरे
Ram Ram.
हरे राम हरे हरे हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण हरे हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna Krishna,
राम हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Ram
हरे हरे
Ram.
हरे राम हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
कृष्ण हरे हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare Ram,
राम हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram, Ram
हरे
Ram.
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare
हरे हरे
Krishna, Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण
Hare
हरे हरे
Krishna, Hare
हरे
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
राम हरे हरे हरे
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram,
हरे हरे
Ram Ram.
हरे राम हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
कृष्ण
Krishna
हरे हरे
Krishna,
हरे राम
Hare
हरे
Ram,
हरे
Hare Ram,
हरे
Ram
कृष्ण
Ram.
कृष्ण हरे हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare
राम हरे हरे
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Ram,
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Ram,
हरे
Ram.
हरे राम राम हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare
Ram
Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji
Ram,
and
Ram
Mataji,
Ram.
all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining today. Raju Prabhu, Suman Prabhu, Gaurav Prabhu, Sandhya Mataji, Lavanya Samit Mataji, Deepa Mataji, Dandapnam. You can take over, Mataji. I made you host. You can start.
Hi Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. Prabhuji,
Right.
I'll start the Mangalacharan prayers. In the meantime, can you check where we ended on that day?
Bhagavatam first canto 17th chapter, right?
Yeah, 17th chapter. I don't
Yeah.
remember whether it was 11 or 12 or...
Let me find. Let me share. Let me find out and let you know.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Mataji, 117:15.
117:15.
15 చదివినట్టున్నారు. 117:15 చదివినట్టున్నారు. 16 onwards, I think you can start.
Okay, Prabhuji. We'll start with 15. I don't think we read 15, Prabhuji.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
You can start, yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. An upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though he be a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. Purport. The denizens of the heavenly kingdom are called Amara or deathless. due to their possessing a long span of life far greater than that of the human beings. For a human being who has only maximum 100, yeah, I think this was done, Prabhuji. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times, when there is no emergency. Purport. In the scriptures, there is a mention of apad dharma, or occupational duty at times of extraordinary happenings. It is said that sometimes the great sage Vishwamitra had to live on the flesh of dogs in some extraordinary dangerous position. In cases of emergency, one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description, but that does not mean that there should be a regular slaughterhouses to feed the animal eaters, that this system should be encouraged by the state. No one should try to live on flesh in ordinary times simply for the sake of the palate. If anyone does so, the king or the executive head should punish him for gross enjoyment. There are regular scriptural injunctions for different persons engaged in different occupational duties, and one who follows them is called Swadharmastha, or faithful in one's prescribed duties. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.48, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. Such Swadharma might be violated in cases of emergency if one is forced by circumstances, but they cannot be violated in ordinary times. The state executive head is to see that such Swadharma is not changed by the follower, whatever it may be, and he should give all protection to the follower of Swadharma. The violator is subject to punishment in terms of the Shastra, and the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follows his occupational duty as prescribed in the scripture. Samhita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The personality of religion said, these words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandava dynasty. Captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas, even Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, performed duties as a messenger. Purport. The assurances and challenges made by Maharaj Parikshit are never exaggerations of his real power. The Maharaja said that even the denizens of heaven could not escape his stringent government if they were violators of religious principles. He was not falsely proud, for a devotee of the Lord is equally as powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more powerful by his grace, and any promise made by a devotee, though it may be ordinarily very difficult to fulfill, is properly executed by the grace of the Lord. The Pandavas, by their unalloyed devotional service and full surrender unto the Lord, made it possible for the Lord to become a chariot driver or sometimes their later messenger. Such duties executed by the Lord for his devotee are always very pleasing to the Lord, because the Lord wants to render service to his unalloyed devotee, whose life has no other engagement than to serve the Lord with full love and devotion. Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Arjuna, the celebrated friendly servitor of the Lord, was a pure devotee of the Lord, like his grandfather, and therefore the Lord was always with him, even from the time when he was helplessly lying in the womb of his mother and was attacked by the blazing Brahmastra weapon of Ashwadhama. A devotee is always under the protection of the Lord, and therefore the assurance of protection by Maharaj Parikshit could never be without meaning. The personality of religion accepted this fact and thus thanked the king for his being true to his exalted position. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Sandhya Mataji, are you in a position to read?
Yes,
1 second. Yeah, okay.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings, because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. Purport. There are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward their own theories of cause and effect, especially about the cause of suffering and its effect on different living beings. Generally, there are 6 great philosophers. Kanada, the author of Vaiseka philosophy; Gautama, the author of logic; Patanjali, the author of Mystic Yoga, Kapila, the author of Sankhya philosophy, Jaimini, the author of Karma, Mimamsa, and Vyasadeva, the author of Vedanta Darshana. Although the bull, or the personality of religion, and the cow, the personality of the earth, knew perfectly well that the personality of Kali was the direct cause of their sufferings, still as devotees of the Lord, they knew well also that without the sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. According to the Padma Purana, our present trouble is due to the fructifying of seedling sins, but even those seedling sins also gradually fade away by execution of pure devotional service. Thus, even if the devotees see the mischief mongers, they do not accuse them for the sufferings inflicted. They take it for granted that the mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause, and therefore they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God given in small doses, or otherwise the sufferings should have been greater. Maharaja Parikshit wanted to get a statement accusation against the direct mischief monger, but they declined to give it on the above mentioned grounds. Speculative philosophers, however, do not recognize the sanction of the Lord. They try to find out the cause of sufferings in their own way, as will be described in the following verses. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, such speculators are themselves bewildered, and thus they cannot know that the ultimate cause of all causes is the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Lavanya Mataji, chadavaldam.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandattanam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, translation and prepared by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say that activity is responsible, and the gross materialist maintain the nature is the ultimate cause. Purport. As referred to above, philosophers like Jaimini and his followers establish that fruitive activity is the root cause of all distress and happiness, and that even if there is a superior authority, some superhuman powerful god or gods, he or they are also under the influence of fruitive activity because the reward result according to one's action. They say that action is not independent because action is performed by some performer. Therefore, the performer himself is the cause of his own happiness and distress. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.5, also it is confirmed that by one's mind freed from material affection, one can deliver himself from the suffering of material pangs. So one should not entangle oneself in matter by the mind's material affections. Thus, one's own mind is one's friend or enemy in one's material happiness and distress. Atheistic materialistic Sankhyatis conclude that material nature is a cause of all causes. According to them, combinations of material elements are the causes of material happiness and distress, and disintegration of matter is the cause of freedom from all material pangs. Gautama and Kannada find that atomic combination is the cause of everything, and impersonalists like Ashtavakra discovered that impersonalists like Ashtavakra discovered that the spiritual effulgence of Brahman is the cause of all causes. But in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord himself declares that he is the source of impersonal Brahman, and therefore he, the personality of Godhead, is the ultimate cause of all causes. It is also confirmed in the Brahma Samhita that Lord Krishna is the ultimate cause of all causes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Prabhuji, Ashtavakra is Janaka Maharaj, spiritual master, Prabhuji? Like master.
Yeah, friend and spiritual master both.
But he is impersonalistic. Is that?
Yes, ma'am. He propounded that philosophy, Mataji. Personally, he might not be that, because all his readings were very close to Lord Krishna. But personally, he propounded that philosophy, impersonalist philosophy.
Prabhuji, your turn, Prabhuji.
Okay. Translation. There are also some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor know it by imagination, nor express it by words. O sage amongst kings, judge for yourself by thinking over all this with your own intelligence. Purport. The Vaishnavites, the devotees of the Lord, do believe, as above explained, that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Director, for he confirms in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15 that he, as all-pervading Paramatma, stays in everyone's heart and keeps vigilance over all actions and witnesses all activities. The argument of an atheist that one cannot be punished for one's misdeeds unless proved before a qualified justice is refuted herein, for we accept the perpetual witness and constant companion of the living being. A living being may forget all that he might have done in his past or present life, but one must know that in the same tree of material body, the individual soul and the supreme soul as Paramatma are sitting like two birds. One of them, the living being, is enjoying the fruits of the tree, whereas the supreme being is there to witness the activities. Therefore, the Paramatma feature, the supreme soul, is actually the witness of all activities of living being, and only by his direction can the living being remember or forget what he might have done in the past. He is therefore both the all-pervading impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma in everyone's heart. He is the knower of all past, present, and future, and nothing can be concealed from him. The devotees know this truth, and therefore they discharge their duties sincerely without being overly anxious for rewards. Besides that, one cannot estimate the Lord's reactions either by speculation or by scholarship. Why does he put some into difficulty or not others and not others? He is supreme knower of the Vedic knowledge, and thus he is the factual Vedantist. At the same time, he is compiler of the Vedanta. No one is independent of him, and everyone is engaged in his service in different ways. In the conditioned state, such services are rendered by living beings under the force of material nature, whereas in the liberated state, the living being is held by the spiritual nature in the voluntary loving service of the Lord. There is no incongruity or inebriety in his actions. All are on the path of the absolute truth. Bhishma Deva correctly estimated the inconceivable actions of the Lord. The conclusion is therefore that the sufferings of the representative of religion and the representative of the earth, as present before Maharaj Parikshit, were planned to prove that Maharaj Parikshit was ideal executive head because he knew well how to give protection to the cows and to the Brahmanas. The two pillars of spiritual advancement. Everyone is under the full control of the Lord. He is quite correct in his action when he desires something to be done by someone, irrespective of the consideration of particular case. Maharaj Parikshit was thus put to test for his greatness. Now let us see how he solves it by his sagacious mind. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Raju Prabhu, are you in hearing mode or are you available to
No,
read?
I can read Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, O best among the Brahmanas, the Emperor Parikshit, thus hearing the personality of religion speak, was fully satisfied and without mistake or regret, he gave his reply. Purport. The statement of the bull, the personality of religion, was full philosophy and knowledge, and the king was satisfied, since he could understand that the suffering bull was not an ordinary one. Unless one is perfectly conversant with the law of the Supreme Lord, one cannot speak such thing touching philosophical truth. The emperor, being also an equal level of reply to the point without doubts or mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Gaurav Prabhu, are you in a position to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, sir, I can read Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The king said, O you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle of the destination intended for a perpetual of irreligious act is also intended for one who identifies the perpector. You are no other the personality of religion. A devotee's conclusion is that no one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or mischief mongers without the sanction of the Lord. Therefore, he does not consider anyone to be directly responsible for such action. But in both the cases, he takes it for granted that either benefit or loss is God sent, and thus it is his grace. In the case of benefit, no one will deny that it is God sent. But in the case of loss or reverses, one becomes doubtful about the Lord could be so unkind to its devotee as to put him in great difficulty. Jesus Christ was seemingly put into such great difficulty, being crucified by the ignorant, but he was never angry with the mischief mongers. This is the way of accepting a thing, either favorable or unfavorable. Thus, for a devotee, the identifier is equally a sinner, like the mischief mongers. By God's grace, the devotee tolerates all reverses. Maharaja Parikshit observed this, and therefore he could understand that the bull was no other than the personality of religion himself. In other words, a devotee has no suffering at all, because so-called suffering is also God's grace for a devotee who sees God in everything. The cow and bull never placed any complaint before the king for being tortured by the personality of Kali. Although everyone lodges such complaints before the state authorities, the extraordinary behavior of the bull made the king conclude that the bull was certainly the personality of religion, and no one else could understand the finger intricacies of the codes of religion. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Finer intricacies. Yeah. Akinchit Prabhu, are you available to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus it is concluded that the Lord's energies are inconceivable. No one can estimate them by mental speculation or by the word jugglery. Purport. A question may be raised as to why a devotee should refrain from identifying an actor. Although he knows definitely that the Lord is the ultimate doer of everything. Knowing the ultimate doer, one should not pose himself as an ignorant of the actual performer. To answer this doubt, the reply is that the Lord is also not directly responsible for everything is done by his deputed Maya Shakti or material energy. The material energy is always provoking doubts about the supreme authority of the Lord. The personality of religion knew perfectly well that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, and still he can put into the doubts by deluding energy, and thus he refrained from mentioning the Supreme Cause. This doubtfulness was due to the contamination of the both Kali and the material energy. The whole atmosphere of the age of Kali is magnified by diluted energy, and the portion of measurement is inexplicable.
Sapan Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In the age of Satya, truthfulness, your 4 legs were established by the 4 principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But it appears that 3 of your legs are broken due to rampant irreligion in the form of pride, lust for women, and intoxication. Purport. The deluding energy or material nature can act upon the living beings proportionately in terms of living beings falling prey to the deluding attraction of Maya. Moths are captivated by the glaring brightness of the light, and thus they become prey to the fire. Similarly, deluding energy is always captivating the conditioned souls to become prey to the fire of delusion. And the Vedic scriptures warn the conditioned souls not to become prey to the delusion, but to get rid of it. The Vedas warn us to go not to the darkness of ignorance, but to the progressive path of light. The Lord himself also warns that the deluding power of material energy is too powerful to overcome, but who one completely surrenders unto the Lord can easily do so. But to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is also not very easy. Such surrender is possible by means of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. These 4 principles of advanced civilization were remarkable features in the age of Satya. In that age, every human being was practically a qualified Brahmana of the highest order, and in the social orders of life, they were all Paramahansas, or the topmost in the renounced order. By cultural standing, the human beings were not at all subjected to the deluding energy. Such strong men of character were competent enough to get away from the clutches of Maya, but gradually, as the principles of Brahmanical culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, became curtailed by proportionate development of pride, attachment for women, and intoxication, the path of salvation or the path of transcendental bliss retreated far, far away from the human society. With the progression of the age of Kali, people are becoming very proud and attached to women and intoxication. By the influence of the age of Kali, even a pauper is pride of his penny. The women are always dressed in an overly attractive fashion to victimize the minds of men, and the man is addicted to drinking wine, smoking, drinking tea, and chewing tobacco, etc. All these habits are so-called advancement of civilization, are the root causes of irreligiosities, and therefore it is not possible to check corruption, bribery, and nepotism. Man cannot check all these evils simply by statutory acts and police vigilance, but he can cure the disease of the mind by proper medicine, namely advocating the principles of Brahmanical culture or principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. Modern civilization and economic development are creating a new situation of poverty and scarcity, with the result of blackmailing the consumers' commodities. If the leaders and the rich men of the society spend 50% of their accumulated wealth mercifully for the misled masses of the people and educate them in God consciousness, the knowledge of Bhagavatam, certainly the age of Kali, will be defeated in its attempt to entrap the conditioned souls. We must always remember that false pride or too high an estimation of one's own values of life, undue attachment to women or association with them, and intoxication will divert human civilization from the path of peace. However much the people clamor for peace in the world, the preaching of the Bhagavatam principles will automatically render all men austere, clean both inside and outside, merciful to the suffering, and truthful in daily behavior. That is the way of correcting the flaws of human society, which are very prominently exhibited at the present moment. Hare Krishna.
Suman Prabhu, are you willing to read today?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Translation. You are now standing on one leg only, which is your truthfulness, and you are somehow or other hobbling along. But quarrel personified, Kali, flourishing by deceit, is also trying to destroy that leg. Purport. The principles do not stand on some dogmas or man-made formulas, but they stand on 4 primary regulative observances, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. The mass of people must be taught to practice these principles from childhood. Austerity means to accept voluntarily things which may not be very comfortable for the body but are conducive for spiritual realization. For example, fasting. Fasting twice or 4 times a month is a sort of austerity which may be voluntarily accepted for spiritual realization only and not for any other purposes, political or otherwise. Fastings which are meant not for self realization but for some other purposes are condemned in Bhagavad Gita 17.5 and 6. Similarly, cleanliness is necessarily both for the mind and for body. Simply, bodily cleanliness may help to some extent, but cleanliness of the mind is necessary, and it is affected by glorifying the Supreme Lord. No one can cleanse the accumulated mental dust without glorifying the Supreme Lord. A godless civilization cannot cleanse the mind because it has no idea of God. And for this simple reason, people under such a civilization cannot have good qualifications. However, they may be materially equipped. We have to see things by their resultant action. The resultant action of human civilization in the age of Kali is dissatisfaction. So everyone is anxious to get peace of mind. This peace of mind was complete in the Satya age because of the existence of the above mentioned attributes of the human beings. Gradually, these attributes have diminished in the Treta Yuga to 3/4, in the Dwapara to off, and in this age of Kali to 1/4, which is also gradually diminishing on account of prevailing untruthfulness by pride, either artificial or real. The resultant action of austerity is spoiled by too much affection for female association. Cleanliness is spoiled. By too much addiction to intoxication, mercy is spoiled. And by too much lying propaganda, truthfulness is spoiled. The revival of Bhagavata Dharma can save human civilization from falling prey to evils of all description. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji. Actually, Mataji, can you please scroll back, Mataji?
Where, Prabhuji? Here.
Yes. So here, from the past 4 or 5 shlokas, Prabhupada is very particular on 2 things. One is the propagation of the Bhagavata philosophy. What happens with them? Bhagavatam can even bring Satyuga into Kaliyuga. Means it can upright and uphold the 4 principles of religion even in this age of Kali, if it is being propagated properly. And the second one is the cleanliness of the mind. It can only happen by the glorification of the Lord. Okay, these 2 are very, very important points in the whole theme. Here it is said, yes, of course, the age of Kali, these are the attributes which we have, but how can we overcome them? By following the Bhagavata principles properly. And he is also mentioning how every quality in the modern society, which we generally see, like intoxication and all these things, how it leads to the other banishing of the principles of religion, how it will affect the principles of religion. So these are the things why the 4 regulative principles are included in this column. Okay, so that the principles of Bhagavad Dharma can be profoundly what do you say? Sthapana. Sthapana means
Establish.
Yeah, we can establish those principles profoundly in the society, and we can see the main what is a concept or main theme. One of the 7 goals of ISKCON is to at least make 10% of the population Brahmanas. Please go ahead, Maharaj.
Yes, Babuji. Actually, reading, all of us have completed one round. We can start the prayers. మనం నిన్న ఇక్కడ ఉన్నాం కదా ప్రభుజీ 4.9.11.
So should I do once?
Yes,
Will you repeat after me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvai me prasanno bhuyadανantamahataam amalasayanam येनाञ्जसूल्वनम् उर्व्यसनं भवाब्धिं नेष्ये भवद्गुणकथामृतपानमत्तः. Samyukta Mataji, can you start?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Bhaktimuhuः प्रवहतां त्वयि मे प्रसङ्गो भूयादनन्तमहताममलाशयानां येनाञ्जशोल्बनमुरुव्यसनं भवाब्धिं नेष्ये भवद्गुणाकथामृतपानमत्तः.
Ramiriti Prabhu, can you please go ahead?
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvai me prasango bhuyat anantamahatam amalashayanam enanja solvanam urvyasanam bhavabdim nese bhavadgunakatamritapanamattaha. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Sandhya Mataji, are you in a position to recite?
Yeah, I will, Prabhuji, but I was absent last class, but I'll try, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please do.
Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvai me prasagno bhuyadanantamahatam amalasayanam enanjasolbanam uruvyasanam bhavabdim nese bhavadgunakatamritapanamatta.
Yeah, Prasango Mataji, first line of word Prasango. Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvai me prasango. Sir, adokkate tayar achi mitanda maadadu.
Prasango. Okay, Prabhuji.
Lavanya Mataji and Deepa Mataji.
Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.9.11. Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvai me prasango bhuyatanantamahataam amalasayanam enanjasholbanam urvyasanam bhavabdim nishye bhavadgunakatamritapanamatta.
Okay. Deepa Mataji.
Bhaktim muhu pravahataam tvai me prasango bhuyadανantamahatam amalashayanam yenanjasolbanamuruvyasanam bhavabdhim nesye bhavatgunakathamritapanamattaha.
Yes, Mataji. Raj Prabhu, can you do it?
First time Prabhuji అంటే నేను అసలు ఇది ఫస్ట్ టైం.
First time, ఓకే. అందరూ చేసినట్టు చేద్దాం.
నేను ప్రభుజీ
చేస్తారా?
Yes.
Yes.
Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvai me prasango bhuyadanantamahatam amalasayanam yenanjasolbanam urvavyasanam bhavadim nesya bhavatgunakatamritapanamatta.
ఒకసారి థర్డ్ లైన్ చదువుతారా బాబు? మళ్ళీ ఏనాంజసోల్బనం ఉరువ్యసనం భవాబ్ది.
ఏనాంజసోల్బనం ఉరువ్యసనం భవాబ్దిం నేష్య భవద్గుణకథామృతపానమత్త.
నేష్యే ప్రభు, నేష్య అంటారు. నేష్య అని వస్తుంది. నేష్యే భవత్ నేష్య
భవద్గుణకథామృతపానమత్త.
నేష్యే భవద్గుణకథామృతపానమత్త. ఎస్ ప్రభు. And Sapan Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvai me prasango भूयादनन्तमहताम् अमलाशयानां येनाञ्जसोल्बनम् उरुव्यसनं भवाब्धिं नेस्ये भवद्गुणकथामृतपानमत्तः.
Suman Prabhu, will you wish to try?
Yeah, I will give it a try, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, please do, else I will help you. Okay.
Bhaktim hu pravataam tvai me prasango bhuyat ananta mahatam amalasayanam yenanja solpanam uruvyasanam bhavabdhim nesye bhavat guna kathamruta panamatta.
Yes, Prabhu, very good try actually. You are perfect with the words, Prabhu. The tune, third line slow. Are you in Telugu, Prabhu?
Yeah, mother tongue is Telugu, Prabhu.
Okay, okay. Where are you right now?
I am in Hyderabad, Alkapur Township.
Okay. So the third line, you should slow down, Prabhu. That is the only difference. Okay.
Okay.
So it comes like this. The Bhaktim Muhu and those lines are good. The third line will slow down and again it will pick up in the fourth. Okay. But it's a good going, Prabhuji. Please, I request you to listen the other slokas also. But by then you will learn the whole tune properly. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Welcome. So, Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhujis, what would you wish me to do today? We have more time, 15 minutes more. Can we hop on to the next sloka or what's your call?
Next sloka, Prabhuji.
Next sloka?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. And what about others?
రాజు ప్రభు మీరు ధ్రువ ప్రేయర్స్ లో ఏది కూడా అటెండ్ అవ్వలేదా లేదంటే ఇదే కదా
ఈ లాస్ట్ 2 అనుకుంటా మాతాజీ 4.9.10 ఇది
అరే మరి చేయండి ప్రభు అయితే ఏమైంది చేయండి ఉన్నాం కదా
ఇది ప్రభుజీ
I feel Prabhuji that you can spend time with Raju Prabhu and Suman Prabhu and whoever like wants to repeat them. Sandhya Mataji, she was also like in hometown. So కొంత మిస్ అయింది సో ఇట్లాగా ఇవి రిపీట్ చేస్తే వాళ్ళకు కూడా ఎట్ పార్ ఉన్నట్టు అనిపిస్తుంది
You are telling to me, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now I will repeat it 2 times or 3 times more. Raju Prabhu, please give a try then. Okay? I will do it 3 times.
Sure.
రెండు చేయండి ప్రభుజీ 4.9.10 and 11 రెండు చేయండి
10 and 11 both.
Yeah.
So the Sankranti festival will be covered up.
Yeah.
Okay. Ya nirvritisthanubhritanta vapada padma ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथा श्रवणेन वास्य सा ब्रह्मणि स्वमहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत् किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात्मततां विमान भक्तिं मुहुः प्रवहतां त्वयि मे प्रसङ्गो भूयादनन्तमहताममलाशयानां येनाञ्जसोल्बनम् उरुव्यसनं भवाब्धिं नेष्ये भवद्गुणकथामृतपानमत्तः. Raj Prabhu? Raju Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhu, ఒక్కొక్క శ్లోక చేస్తున్నా ఎంత చేస్తారా మీరు?
Yes Prabhuji.
10 కూడా చేయాలి కదా?
Yes.
యా నిర్వృతిస్తనుభృతాంత వపాద పద్మ ధ్యానాద్ భవజ్జన కథా శ్రవణేన వాస్యాత్ సా బ్రహ్మణి స్వమహిమన్యపి నాతమాభూత్ కిం త్వంతకాసి లులితాత్మతతాం విమానాత్. చేయండి ప్రభు.
ప్రభుజీ మీరు ఒక్కొక్కటి చెప్తే మిగతా వాళ్ళకి కూడా హెల్ప్ఫుల్ ఉంటది ప్రభుజీ ఈ శ్లోకమైన.
వన్ లైన్
వన్ లైన్ చెప్తే రాజు ప్రభుత్వం మిగతా వాళ్ళు కూడా
ఓకే
వన్ లైన్.
యా నిర్వృతిస్తనుభృతాంత వపాద పద్మ. చెప్పండి ప్రభు.
యా నివృత్తస్తనుప brutam tava pada padma.
Okay. Ya nirvritisthanubhritam tava pada padma.
Ya nivritisthanubhritam tava pada padma.
Ya nirvritisthanubhritam tava pada padma.
Ya nivritisthanubhritam tava pada padma.
Dhyanat bhavajjana katha shravanena vasyat.
ध्यानात् भवच्छन कतश्रवणेन व्यासात् वस्यात्.
Dhyanat bhavajjana katha shravanena vasyat.
ध्यानात् भवच्छन कतश्रवणेन वास्यात्.
ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथा श्रवणेन वास्यात्.
ध्यानात् भवच्छन कतश्रवणेन वास्यात्.
सा ब्रह्मन् स्वमहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्.
सा ब्रह्मन् स्वमहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्.
सा ब्रह्मन् स्वमहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्.
किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततं विमानात्.
किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततं विमानात्.
किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततं विमानात्.
So we will go two lines together now, Prabhu. Raju Prabhu, please give it right now.
Okay.
Ya nirvritisthanubhritam tava pada padma dhyanat bhavajjana katha shravanena vasyat.
या निवृत्तितस्तनुभृतं तव पाद पद्मा ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथश्रवणेन वास्यात्.
కొంచెం స్లో వెళ్తాం బాబు, మీరు స్లో అవ్వండి. ఓకే. యా నిర్వృత్తిస్తనుభృతాం తవ పాద పద్మ ధ్యానాత్ భవజ్జన కథా శ్రవణేన వాస్యాత్.
या निवृत्तिस्तनुभृतं तव पाद पद्मा ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथश्रवणेन वास्यात्.
या निर्वृत्तिस्तनुभृतां तव पाद पद्म ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथा श्रवणेन वास्यात्.
या निवृत्तिस्तनुभृतं तव पाद पद्मा ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथश्रवणेन वास्यात्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वमहिमन्यपि नाथमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वमहिमन्यपि नाथमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वमहिमन्यपि नाथमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
Okay, now we'll go for a whole sloka. या निर्वृत्तिस्तनुभृतां तव पाद पद्मा ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथा श्रवणेन वास्यात्. सा ब्रह्मणि स्वमहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
या निवृत्ति అదొక్కటి అసలు కష్టం ఉంటుంది. నిర్వృత్తిస్ ఓకే సార్ సరే. या निर्वृत्तिस्तनुभृतं तव पाद पद्मा ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथाश्रवणेन वास्यात्. सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
ఓకే నువ్వు ఒకసారి ట్రై చేస్తారా?
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ. या निर्वृत्तिस्तनुभृतं तव पाद पद्मा ध्यानात् भवज्जन कथाश्रवणेन वास्यात्. सा ब्रह्मणि स्वामहिमन्यपि नातमाभूत्. किं त्वन्तकाशि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्.
Okay, is there anyone else who wanted to try this shloka?
I can try, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Ya nivritistanuvritam tava pada padma dhyanat bhavajana kata shravanena vasyat sa brahmani svamahimanya apinata mabhut kim tvantakasi lulitat vatatam vimanat.
Okay. Prabhu, 11 sloka kuda cheyala Raju Prabhu meeku?
Yeah, if you have time, you can.
Yeah. Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango. Chantu.
Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvaime prasango.
Pravahatam
tvaime prasango.
Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango.
Bhakti muhu pravatam tvaime prasango.
Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango.
Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvaime prasango.
Bhuyad ananta mahatam amalashayana.
Bhuyad ananta mahatam amalasayanam.
Bhuyad ananta mahatam amalashayana.
Bhuyad ananta mahatam amalasayanam.
Bhuyad ananta mahatam amalashayana.
Bhuyad ananta mahatam amalasayanam.
Yenanja solvanam urubhyasanam bhavabdhim.
Yenanja solvanam uruvyasanam bhavabdhim.
Yenanja solvanam urubhyasanam bhavabdhim.
Yenanja solvanam uruvyasanam bhavabdhim.
Yenanja solvanam urubhyasanam bhavabdhim.
Yenanja solvanam uruvyasanam bhavabdhim.
Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
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 Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango. Bhuyat ananta mahatam amalashayana.
Bhaktim muhu pravatam tvaime prasango. Bhuyat anantam mahatam amalasayanam.
Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango. Bhuyat ananta mahatam amalashayana.
Bhaktim muhu pravatam tvaime prasango. Bhuyat ananta mahatam amalasayanam.
Pravahatam dekho chuskoni Prabhu, koncham skip a word. Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango. Bhuyat ananta mahatam amalashayana.
Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvaime prasango. Bhuyat ananta mahatam amalasayanam.
Yenanja solvanam urubhyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Enanja solvanam uruvyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Yenanja solvanam urubhyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Enanja solvanam uruvyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Yenanja solvanam urvyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Enanja solvanam uruvyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango. Bhuyadananta mahatam amalashayana. Yenanja solvanam urvyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvaime prasango. Bhuyad ananta matam amalasayanam. Enanja solvanam urvyasanam bhavabdhim. Neshe bhavat gunakatamrtapanamattah.
Okay, Prabhu. Shall we go to the other sloka today?
Thank you.
Yes, anyone else? Someone is about to speak something?
సంధ్య మాతాజీ మీరు చేస్తారా 11 ప్రభుజీతో?
She's not there, Mataji. She's
Not
like
there. Okay.
Okay, shall we go to the 12th
We
one?
can go to the next one then.
Yeah. Okay. So shall we go to the synonyms and translation today?
Yes.
I will just recite it once. I will just recite it once or twice. Then we can go with the synonyms and translation. Tomorrow I will explain them, and we will go by the sloka tomorrow. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
By now, today I just recite it 3 times, and you can read the synonyms and translation. Okay? तेन स्मरन्त्यतितरां प्रियमीशमत्यं ये चान्वदस्तसुहृद्गृहवित्तधारा ये त्वज्जनाभवदीयपदारविन्द सौगन्ध्यलुब्धहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गा तेन स्मरन्त्यतितरां प्रियमीशमत्यं ये चान्वदस्तसुहृद्गृहवित्तधारा ये त्वज्जनाभवदीयपदारविन्द सौगन्ध्यलुब्धहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गा तेन स्मरन्त्यतितरां प्रियमीशमत्यं ये चान्वदस्तसुहृद्गृहवित्तधारा ये त्वज्जनाभवदीयपदारविन्द सौगन्ध्यलुब्धहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गा. So I will just tell you the synopsis of this what is the shloka today. Then tomorrow we'll go by synonyms and translation. Okay? Because it's already 9 now. I'll just give you what it is about. So in the previous shloka, Dhruv Maharaj was telling, let me associate with your devotees. So that what happens, those devotees who are always involved in glorifying your name qualities, by having their association, what will I become? I will become mad into those qualities, and I can cross this ocean of samsara very easily. Right? This was what the previous shloka was. Everyone remembered, no?
Yes, Bhavabdim.
Yes. So one is prasanga is very important in that. By prasanga, what happens?
Association.
Prasanga means association. By having that association, what happens?
You can cross over the ocean of material miseries.
Bhavabdim means Bhava Sagara, Abdim, crossing. So that happens very easily. Why? Because I'll be maddened in your. Yeah. So here, what he tells is why it can happen, why I can cross easily to the material world, why I can cross very easily this material world. Because Tena Smarantya means Tena Smarantya Atitaram Priyamisha Martyam means those who remember you, what happens to them? They will never remember the highly attached one. This material body. Material body means Martyam. Martya means who has Murtyu. Murtyu means what? This material body. Priyam, which is very close to us. Actually, we should be very clear with this, that we are very close to our material body. No matter how much philosophy goes in, or how much prasadam goes in, how much, what is that? Charanamrit. Even if we drink some gallons of Charanamrit, still we are materially conscious. That is how this, how attached we are. Actually, we'll be very clear of that. But here Dhruva is telling, just by having the association of your devotees, what happens is, Tena Smarantya means we will not remember. Smarantya means Smaranti. Smaranti means remembering. Tena Smarantya means I will not remember. Atitaram. Atitaram means who are highly close. Atitaram Priyam means very, very close. What is it very close to us?
Material body.
Our body, material body. Yecha and also means Adaha. Adaha means they will also not remember that. Adaha means that actually. What will they not remember? Suta, their children. Suhrud, their friends. Griha, house. Vittaha, wealth. Dhara, wife. Okay. What happens by having yours? Actually, you should not be fearful of this, because every time we read Bhagavatam, generally, even the last time when I have been to that Leelanand Prabhu's house, what is that? What is not Leelanand Prabhu's house? Which house it is? Or Sri Gopal Prabhu's house. Leelanand Prabhu was discussing about those topics which are very, very, in Bhagavatam, you will come across these things always. See, what does Bhagavatam do now? For a person who is lazy, it will just give one tight slap so that he will wake up. And a person who is very, very conscious, it will console him. It's okay. So this shloka is actually a wake-up call. Means, there are roasters in Bhagavatam. There are consolers in Bhagavatam. There are boosters in Bhagavatam. See, Bhagavatam is a complete whole actually. But depending upon the situation, some devotees only take the roosters. Some devotees, they only take the boosters. Some devotees, they only take the consolers. Depending upon their mood and their, mood of the counsellors and all, they take different shlokas. But Bhagavatam, it has everything in it. So this is which kind of shloka? This is a shloka which will make us go towards a detachment. It will give a slap to us. So what it is? Tena smarantya. People who associate with your devotees, they will forget their what? Body. Adaha. And they will also forget what? Suta, Suhrud, Griha, Vitta, Dhara. Suta means son. Suhrud means friends. Griha means house. Vitta means wealth. Dhara means wife, one's own wife. So they will leave all these things. They will forget about all these things. Ye tvabjana bhavadiya padaravinda. Padaravinda means everyone knows this. Lotus feet. Abja Nabha. Abja means lotus. Nabha means navel. People who concentrate on your lotus navel and lotus feet. Bhavadiya means of yours. Saugandhya lubdha hridayeshu katha prasanga. Saugandhya means the fragrance. Lubdha hridayeshu katha prasanga means those devotees who have tasted your lotus navel and lotus feet, or who have smelled your lotus feet and lotus navel, will forget all these things by having the association of pure devotees. Okay, this is what it is. So it is actually linked up to the previous shloka. Previous shloka is about the association. So by the association, what happens? He can cross over the material ocean. How he can cross? Because he will not be attached to all these things. What are those things? Body, martyam, suta, son, suhrud. Suhrud means
Friends.
Friends. Griha. Griha means
Homes.
home. Vitta means wealth. And Dara. Dara means wife. Okay. So all these things he will get detached to. And what happens? Who will be detached to all these things? Person who has concentrated on your lotus feet and your lotus navel, and who got the taste of them. Okay. So this is the whole theme of this sloka. This is what Dhruv Maharaj is saying to praying to the to the Lord. So shall we go? We will go with the translation and conclude the call. Okay. Translation. O Lord, who have a lotus navel, if a person happens to associate with the devotee whose heart always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, he is never attached to the material body or in a bodily relationship to offspring, friends, home, wealth, and wife, which are very, very dear to materialistic persons. Indeed, he does not care for them. So this shloka should not be taken isolated. Be very frank, be very clear with that. They should be taken as a contextual. Yeah, you can take it for preaching isolated only in the case-to-case basis. See, generally, I've seen many devotees, by their immaturity or whatever, I don't know, they take these kinds of slokas, which are completely, These are known as the rooster slokas. Rooster means they will wake you up from the slumber sleep, and they will preach to the neophytes. So this is very dangerous. Actually, these slokas have to be taken out to the contextual basis. So the previous one should be taken, and the next one also should be taken. Only then you can conclude. Okay. Thank you so much. You can conclude the call, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Nandana.
Thank you, Prabhuji. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद बुक रीडिंग की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू एवरीबडी फॉर जॉइनिंग। हरे कृष्णा।
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.